We're live, people. It's our 4th episode of the TechChomper live stream Q&A show, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Had some people maybe show up at the wrong time, so I'll make sure to say it's Central now. You might hear some screaming babies in the background. There are no baby torture scenarios going on here. That's just my children losing their minds downstairs. That's a reality of working and streaming from home. How are people doing this evening? Who's here? I see Phil here. I see Sheridan here. That's awesome. How are you guys? Hope you came with some questions tonight. I'm ill prepared with questions, but I can review things from work this week that I got asked by people, trying to get them fixed up. So we can start with that kind of stuff. I don't know, but I'm glad to be back. Still working on the show here. Hopefully the audio is presentable. I got the headphones on tonight, so we can actually monitor this for a change, and hopefully it doesn't sound terrible out there. Got a different microphone I had to set up using StreamYard tonight. They are not a sponsor. I would happily take them as a sponsor. I don't think I'm big enough yet, but we'll get there. We're going to get there, people. We're going to keep doing this. It's going to build. We're going to get there. I'm excited about it. So I got a cat that may attack my foot. So if I scream like I am bleeding from something happening below the desk, that would be my angry senior cat attacking my foot while I try to live stream. It's not the most helpful thing, but she's been with me for a really long time. I think she's like 18 now, 17, 18, somewhere in there. She was a found cat in a lumberyard area, so who knows for sure. But I guess let's go ahead and get started with some questions I had this week, and we can work in any questions from anybody else as they come up. I hope you will join us. I hope you brought questions. Like I said, free tech support, so whatever kind of tech questions you have, any kind of stuff you're trying to figure out, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely find out the answer for you for next week, and come back and I'll give you what I found out. So funny you should mention that. There's people laughing. I don't know what's going on. I hear some LOLs here. I'm reading them, whatever. It's like the same as hearing things now after being isolated so long. When people chat message you, it's like you heard something. It's just the voices in your head playing tricks on you. I think it's happening to all of us as we dive into our technology to hide from the reality of insanity. So one of the things that I get asked about frequently and got hit up for a couple times this week are spyware questions. People freaked out that somebody maybe hacked their system. What information did they get? How do you find out if you're safe? Do you need to set fire to the computer? Is it safe when it's turned off? There are so many questions people ask. So I'm just going to kind of do a brief overview of things that I've seen with spyware when people get infected, some tools that you can use to clean those things up, and get some tips for maybe avoiding it, figuring out how not to get yourself infected in the first place, because I know mostly people feel stupid when they've accidentally clicked on something and gotten some infection. I don't recommend it. I'm just saying it happens. They kick in the panic mode receptors. You start clicking things. It's not a good idea. So first thing a lot of people see with spyware stuff is maybe you sit down at your computer and there are a bunch of browser windows open to websites that you definitely did not go to. You maybe know you closed them, or they're just not even sites you go to. That's definitely a sign that you've run into some spyware stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean anybody's actively in your computer. Typically, those are just going to drive you crazy and ultimately try to get you to give them some credit card information so that they can go shopping online or use it in some illicit way to buy things. It is not as easy as it used to be years ago for people to hack into your machine. Typically now, they can drive you crazy and ask you for something. It's not true all the time, but mostly what you see is that kind of stuff where they bother you and ask for a credit card. Um, Another one that I've gotten calls about are ransomware attacks, a little different than spyware. For those of you that are unaware what ransomware attacks are, they basically install a program on your computer and essentially start encrypting files. They will typically target businesses more than home users, though I have seen home users hit, mainly because they will see how much data they are able to encrypt and hide from you, because they realize the more data they've gotten from you, the more likely you're going to pay a lot more to get it back. And so they try to hit companies, and essentially it will install a program that usually sits idle until after hours. They definitely like to strike on a Friday night whenever everybody's gone home from work at a company, left the computer on, and so it can sit there and just start encrypting files, because it does take a while. It can't just encrypt everything instantly. And so basically, once they have everything encrypted, they are going to pop up a note, if not drop notes all over your computer in the folders with the encrypted files that are going to tell you that you have been ransomed, or are being ransomed, and that your files are encrypted. And if you want them back, you'll need to pay, typically in Bitcoin, a certain amount by a certain date. Usually I see 72 hours is pretty common. I've seen some pretty elaborate ones. One of my clients even had one that as you were trying to pay and go through, they had a web page and there was actually live chat tech support for the hack. They pretty much said, we don't really care about you or your data. We are a business like any other. It's ironic they think that, but nonetheless, they said, we're a business like any other. We just want to get paid and you can have your data back. They would let you do a test file just to show you kind of proof of life that you could get a file back. And then after that, you could pay the ransom and you'd get a decryptor that would bring all your files back. It doesn't guarantee they didn't drop something else on your machine and they're going to try again later or something else. So, if you have one of those really bad ransomware attacks, it might not be a bad idea to wipe and reload the machine, honestly. Most things that are just spyware you can clean up. But I know in the ransomware, I had one that even after we cleaned everything up, it still just never really worked right. It had encrypted a lot of Windows system files and caused all kinds of issues. So, I probably would reload if you've had a major ransomware attack on the operating system, and probably you're going to have to pay the ransom to be able to get your stuff back. Yeah, that's what I've seen too. Phil just mentioned people will sometimes say they caught you doing inappropriate things on the web, on your webcam, and they want you to pay them. Um, the biggest thing with any of these ransomware attacks, and this is kind of what I was going to mention about trying to avoid them, is they are going to prey on your fight or flight response mode. They definitely want to instill panic. Whenever you can panic somebody, the logical brain is no longer processing. And so you're not going to think like, why would Microsoft call me and tell me that I need to suddenly give them a credit card and let them into my computer to fix things? When, if you're calm, you're probably going to think this is a stupid idea. I'm not doing this. But when you're panicked and you think, oh God, they're stealing all the money out of my bank account, or who knows what they're getting off my computer right now, that's exactly what they're hoping for, is just to kick you into panic mode and get you to go ahead and give them information and let them in or whatever they want to do. Um, that's another way that I've seen them attack, is they will do those pop-ups, and after the pop-up, they will basically say that you need to contact them so that they can help you fix your machine. You contact them, they'll say, let me remote in, and I'm going to show you all the things that are happening on your machine that we found. And they'll typically just go in and find the error logs and pull up some banal error, something that doesn't really matter, but they'll point to it. And since they realize you're a tech novice, most likely, if you're responding anyway to it, they're going to hopefully show you some random errors, make you think that they can fix the problem, and then ask for your credit card. Phil just asked, how are they finding my older passwords? So most likely there have been a ton of data breaches over the years. There are some websites. I will pull one up here because I can't remember. It's like, is my password stolen or something like that, or check website. Let's see what it's called. Have I been hacked? There's one that you can do on Avast Hack Check. But essentially, they will find a list of older hacked passwords that are out there on the dark web. They'll go through and start trying random stuff and showing it to you with your email and password. And so that's basically what it is. It probably did get hacked somewhere if it's an older password that you've used on a lot of sites. Most likely they found it on some hack list that's out there being sold on the dark web or distributed on the dark web for people so they can try to hack more. And it's a good reason not to use old passwords for sure and keep changing them. It is a total pain, I will not lie. I myself love LastPass. Again, not a sponsor. Would love to have them as a sponsor, but they are not currently. LastPass I've been using for a few years now. They've been free up until now, and they kind of still are free, but they've been free up until now to use. And it is a service that you have all your passwords and information. You can put credit cards in there for online payments so that you don't have to pull out your credit card anytime you want to make a payment. There's a lot of programs like this over the years that will autofill forms and stuff. And so it does that, but it's also just a really great encrypted password vault, and it syncs everywhere. So I've got the app on my phone. I've got the plugin in Firefox and in Chrome. And so when I'm on the computer, any website that I go to, when I am logging into something, it's going to automatically just prompt me and say, hey, do you want to save this username and password for this website? And then once I add it, no matter which device I'm on, since it syncs to the cloud, I'm able to go ahead and just go to any website, even on my iPhone or an iPad or whatever. When I go there, if I have LastPass installed, it's just going to auto prompt to put in my username and password. You can use Face ID on your phone, which is really nice to authenticate, so you don't have to type any of the passwords in, but they're still secure. And that's what I use. I like it a lot. I'm sure there's some flaws to the system, just like anything else, but as far as LastPass goes, they are super secure. I don't believe they've had any breaches. And well, like I said, we're free on everything. Just recently on March 16th, I believe, they made a change. And so now you are stuck with either the desktop version or a mobile version. And it's based on, I guess, the last time you switch. You get a couple of changes now where you can switch back and forth. But the last time you switch to either your mobile device or to your desktop, if you do the desktop, you'll be able to use LastPass for free on all of your laptops and desktop computers, but not on your mobile devices for free anymore. If you are on the mobile version on your last switch, then basically you can use it on any mobile devices, but you're not going to have the free version back over on your laptop and desktop anymore. I think it's $3 a month, $36 a year to do the full version. They had a discount for, I don't remember, something 15% off or something that knocked $9 off of it for a year for me to upgrade. I've used it so much and like it so much and have saved enough time not having to go look for passwords that I jumped on it. I realize all the monthlies are annoying, but not having to remember all my passwords, I've got, I think, over 250 logins saved in LastPass. So not having to remember those is a godsend. My brain is already a dysfunctional mess some days. So anyway, back to the spyware stuff. Hopefully that answered your question, Phil, on the older passwords. Ransomware, spyware, like I said, those are two things I see, the ransomware being the more critical of the two. And then sometimes I see some that are literally just a browser tab that won't let you close it, won't let you out of it. You get stuck. If you're on a PC, if you go into the task manager and just kill the task, or if you're on a Mac, if you force quit out of the application, usually at that point you can get back into your browser and not be stuck with that tab, and you probably weren't even infected. It's still good to do spyware scans anytime you think you might have been infected, or just periodically. They're great to run spyware scans and kind of check things. I exist mostly in the PC world. I am familiar with Macs. I do have a few clients that I help out with Macs, and so they're not a complete foreign beast to me, but I'm by no means an Apple techspert or super Apple person. I can find my way around. I can troubleshoot, figure things out, Google answers to stuff, tear them apart and upgrade them. But like I say, I work on them a lot less than I do PCs. But one of the programs that you can get on a PC or a Mac that I really like is Malwarebytes. They have a free version and they've got a paid version. Paid version is great. Again, not a sponsor, but happy to have sponsors. But they are something that the free version for personal use, you can download it, run scans on your computer. And I think it does a really good job. It finds most things and cleans up most things. It will do a section that is devoted to the spyware's cleanup stuff that it finds, and then it's got another section devoted to pre-installed junk, like some of the programs that would come with the Dell that are, automatic system updaters or things like that. And so it'll list those in a separate section and say, if you want to remove those programs, you can ditch those pre-installed software programs, as they call it. But it will let you know for sure if there's spyware that you can remove that stuff. That one's free, like I said, to use for personal use all the time. It does not do real-time scanning on the free version. It's just going to be an on-demand scan. So anytime you think maybe something's wrong, or you just want to do a cursory pass and make sure things are good, that's a great way to just run a free on-demand scan. That's what I do, but I'm pretty good about avoiding most of the scams. I've once in a while been tempted to click on something, but I hesitate. Something doesn't feel right. But I've also been doing it for a long time and kind of just have a sense about those things, which is not necessarily intuitive to everyone. I get that. Not trying to condescend to everybody on that at all, or anybody about that. MacKeeper. Yeah, I'll stay away from MacKeeper. Malwarebytes is pretty good. That's the only one I've really used on a Mac. Honestly, on Macs, I don't see that many spyware problems. I realize you can get them, but Apple, because of their closed ecosystem, Apple is definitely better about not getting a lot of the infection stuff you can get on a PC because things are more open. That's the same thing that's true of the Android versus iOS battle. Android, obviously, a lot easier to get apps in the App Store as a developer. really cool in that aspect, but also people download spyware from the Android store, the Google Play Store, and end up with problems. But on Apple's App Store, because they're so ridiculous about not letting through any apps without screening them first, you don't really have the spyware issues coming through on iPhones and iPads and stuff like that. And kind of the same is true on a Mac. Not that people don't stumble into some things, but it's just rare that I've run into a problem. And honestly, Malwarebytes so far has taken care of any Mac clients that I've had in terms of a spyware issue. So that's the one that I've used for free for people. And then the paid version they have will actually do real-time scanning and blocking, try to stay on top of it. It'll do scheduled scans, all that kind of stuff. So if you want a more hands-off approach, I can't remember. I want to say it's like $30 for a year or something for a Malwarebytes license, maybe $24. Maybe I'm overpricing it and I'm telling you it's too much. Let's see. I'm going to pull it up just so I don't lie to you, because I don't want to let. Now they got a 25% off coupon. Yep, $30 for the premium, $40. Normally they got a 25% off coupon. So 30, $40. It's a good one. I've got quite a few clients that use that one. Another really good program I like overall is Bitdefender. It's not really one that I use for free cleanup for spyware. It's not my go-to at all. But if you're looking for just really good security against spyware and ransomware, something that is going to automatically watch for ransomware. One of the things that Bitdefender has that's really cool is if it senses, and I don't know what their technology is at all. I haven't really looked into seeing how it works, but essentially, if you have any kind of a ransomware attack on your computer, Bitdefender's packages will see the files changing and somehow realizes like, hey, you're probably not trying to encrypt hundreds of files right now randomly. Maybe you are, but that's not a likely action a user's going to take. And so it will do something to realize that, and then will automatically roll back any of those encrypted files so that you get those back, which is pretty awesome to just not even have to worry about it, just have it happen for you. And so I've got most of my clients on Bitdefender. It's nice too. They've got a central console that you can go to. I think it's central.bitdefender.com. And when you set up an account there with whatever email address that you've used for registering your license for Bitdefender, you can see all your computers. So some of the family packages have 5 or 10 devices. They have a client that you can run on your mobile devices, as well as clients for PCs and Macs. And so they have a central location where you can go and see all the machines. You can issue scans on all the machines, or you can issue updates to the machines kind of from that central console. And so even if you're either a family member managing multiple devices, which I only do two, really, just Sheridan's and I right now. But, as the kids get older, there's going to be more devices I'm certain that I have to manage. And so anything that I have a console like that as a home user, that's super cool. And then clients, it's just nice for small businesses. You have 7, 8 employees, you're not that big. Get a 10 or 15 device license, set everybody up, and you just kind of don't have to worry about it. Bitdefender has really good support too. I'd recommend them. Again, not a sponsor. Happy to have them as a sponsor. But they are just a good product. I'm listing things right now that honestly are things that I use on a regular basis and have had success with for years. And so I trust them. I'm happy with them. Nothing's perfect. I'm not going to give you any guarantees, but those are what I would use and what I would recommend. Honestly, I just think they're great products. And so, yeah, it's with, like I said earlier, and as far as, common sense trying to avoid spyware problems, I think that the biggest thing is anytime they make you feel panicked, most likely something's not right. They're trying to distract you, because Microsoft or Dell or HP, they may say like, hey, your thing's going to expire, you should renew, but they're not the type of people that are just going to panic you and be like, oh, people are stealing your information and you're getting hacked right now. And if you don't give me money right now, I'm the only one that can save you. And you're totally hosed, man. Anytime you start feeling things like that or hearing things like that, I would definitely hesitate. Anytime someone calls you, that just really shouldn't happen. I've never seen any tech support people, unless you're working with an IT company and you have monitored security of some kind where you know that they're checking on it and they get alerts if something goes wrong and they're then going to reach out to you. Fine, that makes sense. You're expecting that call. But just getting an unsolicited call from somebody who suddenly needs you to spend money on something or suddenly needs you to remote them into the computer, I would be very hesitant and skeptical of any of those things. And so much of it is that. Same thing with emails. If you get an email that says, hey, your bank account's been compromised, you need to go log in right now and change your password. Rather than clicking that link in the email, rather than panicking and just giving information away, I would definitely go to the bank's website directly. Whatever that is, I would just go to the site. And then once you're at the site, log in like you normally would and check your things out. But don't ever use the links in the emails if there's something panicked asking for information. Um, I would definitely just open the browser and go that way and save yourself some trouble. Sorry, I need some water. Parched. So, I don't know what other questions people might have about spyware or viruses. Mostly I just don't see viruses anymore. It used to be the big thing that you would get viruses, but it's like I said, they've done a better job on the operating system security on so many things now that I don't think that most people can get in like they used to, or just start deleting files. Like I said, the ransomware, different beast. Occasionally I see that. It is not the most common thing I see. More just pop-ups and trying to get you to call and give a credit card. The fake Microsoft things that say you're compromised, that then call you and want you to give them a credit card, and the ones that want to remote in. Those are the bulk of what I see. And so those are kind of tips and tricks. Malwarebytes, like I said, is a great tool for cleanup. I think that's the only one I mentioned. Another tool that I recommend is called ADW Cleaner. And that one used to be its own standalone beast. It has been absorbed by Malwarebytes, and so far they have not discontinued it. I'm not exactly sure why. I still run it. I sometimes have caught something on ADW Cleaner that I have not caught on Malwarebytes, and vice versa. That's one of the reasons I run multiple things. Is no one of the solutions seems to be 100% as far as detection and removal, and so I definitely kind of run a best of breed, couple of different options whenever I'm trying to clean something up and make sure I got all the junk off there. And so ADW Cleaner is another one that I'll run. I usually start with ADW Cleaner, follow it up with the free Malwarebytes. And then the last program that I really like that I use typically is I will use a program called Hitman Pro. And you cannot endlessly use it for free like you can Malwarebytes. If Malwarebytes is for personal use, if you want to run free on-demand scans, you can do those as many times as you want, as often as you want. There's no expiration on those. So far, they could change that, I realize, but so far that has been the case, is that there's no expiration on being able to do that. ADW Cleaner, just a cleaner. It's not one that you can pay and upgrade to any kind of scheduled thing anyway, but it is also free always for as long as you want it to be. Hitman Pro is one that they bill as the spyware cleanup tool you should run after all the other spyware cleanup tools. And it does find remnants for sure. After Malwarebytes will say everything's clean, and the machine's probably running fine most of the time at that point. But Hitman Pro is good at finding just little extra registry entries that maybe get left behind, or just odds and ends that should have been removed but weren't for whatever reason. And so I like to run Hitman Pro last. The trade-offs with Hitman Pro: it is free for personal use for a 30-day trial. And so if you've never used it before, you can sign up for their little free trial. I think they ask for your first, last name, and email, and then you just sign like a non-export agreement, a little checkbox or whatever. And so once you get Hitman Pro, you get 30 days from the date that you install it to do cleaning and removal. And then after the 30 days, it will never clean for you ever again for free on that computer. I don't know what they do. They do something with a registry entry or something hidden somewhere, where once it's been used, they can tell it's been run on that computer for 30 days and had a trial license. And so unless you wipe the operating system and reload, you will not get another free trial in terms of removal of things. It will still scan for you and tell you, though, if it finds anything that is an infection or any kind of spyware stuff. It will show you that. And so sometimes if somebody's run out their free trial, I always run it anyway and see what it finds. And worst case, if it finds 2 or 3 files, you can go manually delete them if you're still not wanting to buy a license. If you don't mind doing the legwork, you just got to go find whatever it lists, and it's got a little description there, and you can click and drop down exactly where the file location is and go check out the file. So not the end of the world. But that one, I want to say, I think that one's maybe $30 a year. It seems like everybody wants $30 a year. But I do like Hitman Pro a lot. Let's see. I'll pull it up here and tell you what it is. 30-day trial, $25. $25. I think that's annually. And so for $25, that one will also do scans for you all the time. You can schedule stuff and have it take care of it. I like Hitman Pro a lot. So probably if I were going to pick just one thing that you were wanting to buy something and have it do actively, Malwarebytes would be my pick, both for Mac and PC. I would say that's probably the best option. And then if you're looking for a secondary pass, Hitman Pro is a great product too for PC users. I do not think they have a Mac version. Sorry, Mac people. Like I said, I'm not a Mac expert. Can figure a lot of Mac things out. Happy to look up Mac answers for you. But I just don't use a lot of other tools because I don't have a lot of issues with Macs other than that, really. So I think that's everything I can think of to blab to you about spyware information. I don't know how much you wanted to know about spyware and viruses, but there you go. Now you have a lot of it. Backups. We can talk about backup options. Since we were talking about spyware, let's talk about backup options. That was another thing I've got asked about this week. And there are a ton of options out there in terms of backing stuff up these days. I use a couple of different ones depending on what I'm backing up and what level of recovery or lost time I'm looking at. Basically, what time period I'm willing to lose as far as how often I have to run a backup. And then also how long the restore period is going to be. And so, for example, if you back up to a local hard drive, that is going to be your fastest restore option. The data is going to be probably on a USB drive. You can rip through a restore really fast. And so I think that basically that's the thing that matters the most. If you've got just Word docs, Excel docs, small things that you're not really worried about, maybe just a cloud-based backup is fine and you don't really have to worry about a hard drive. But if you're storing lots of data, maybe you've got a server for your company and there's just a ridiculous amount of stuff that you basically need to store and back up and restore quickly. Like I've got a dental clinic, for example, that has x-ray images stored. And so with all those x-ray images, if I had to do a restore over a cloud, it's going to take many, many hours, which is going to keep them offline for a longer period of time. Whereas if I've got an image of the disk on a local USB drive, it could be literally maybe an hour or less that I could have them imaged and back up on time. And so those are the things that I look at in terms of restore time and in terms of how much data you've got and the bandwidth you've got to upload or download that data makes a difference. Anytime you're going to worry about backing up your data, yeah, Phil is right about that. It's just scams galore. That's probably the number one call I get every week or email is just people forwarding me email messages and saying, hey, do I need to change my password? Did I get locked out of my account? Or is this something I really need to worry about? Or is this a legit update I need to install? It says it's Microsoft. I don't know if it's really Microsoft or not. Those are really common questions I get pinged with throughout each week. And yeah, it's like I said, a lot of it is either trying to get common sense about it and not let them panic you and really kind of think through whatever it is they're asking you to do before you do it. Go to the website directly and yeah, just don't use the links in the emails and junk that they give you. And when in doubt, if you absolutely don't know, call your IT person or an IT person, just somebody that you trust that you went looking for them. They're not a scammer coming looking for you, and ask for their advice if you're just really concerned. That way you can get an expert opinion and save yourself some trouble if you're worried about it. So with backup stuff, typically the backup strategy that I've always adhered to and read about is the 3-2-1 backup strategy. And that is 3 copies of your data on 2 different types of medium and one of them offsite. And so if you had a USB external drive that you're backing up to, and you've got a cloud backup service that you're backing up to, and then your desktop that you're working off of, those are your 3 copies of your data. You got the live copy you're working with, you got your local backup copy, and your cloud backup copy. And the 2 different types of medium, you've got them stored on both hard drives, and you've got them stored on the cloud, which is obviously more hard drives, but they have all kinds of redundancy built into that cloud storage that you probably do not have at your house. And so that gives you a different type of medium there. It could all be something simple. If you're doing like just a QuickBooks backup, maybe you can, just trying to keep your company books backed up. And that's really like your only critical thing that you've got, or maybe that in an Outlook file or something. then it could be that just backing up to a hard drive externally or a USB memory stick and maybe a CD-ROM would give you your two different types of medium. And then the one offsite, obviously, just in case everything burns, you've got a copy somewhere else. And so if you've got data that is not mission critical that you're kind of holding on to, but if it got lost, it's not the end of the world. Maybe you don't care about sending that stuff to the cloud if you've got limited upload bandwidth or limited storage on your cloud drive. Then those are things that you can kind of judge about, what you really need to make sure you've got triplicate of if you're trying to pay for extra cloud storage and push it off site. Obviously, anything that's cloud storage, you're going to have a monthly, whereas something like a memory stick or a USB drive is going to be a one-time purchase, and then it's yours forever, basically. So that's typically what I've done is the 3-2-1 backup, and I use Backblaze as my cloud backup. Main reason that I use Backblaze is that I think Backblaze gives you the fastest upload, hence their name Backblaze. They're blazingly fast. They're screaming babies again. It's going to happen. I don't know what's going on, but there's drama down there. So Backblaze doesn't bottleneck you or throttle you. Some of the things like CrashPlan that I used to use were just insanely slow about backing up. And I have a lot of data on site when I'm doing any kind of video production stuff or anything and shooting video. That's obviously gigabytes of data every time I'm shooting 4K 10-bit 422 when I record. And so I think it's a little over a gigabyte a minute. And with that, I want to make sure when I dump my card at the end of the day that it's going to back up to the cloud pretty quick. And so Backblaze definitely zips it up to the cloud super fast. They are $6 a month for computer personal. Will not run on a server operating system. There's other options if you're trying to do backups for a server. But if you're trying to back up a desktop, any version of Windows, really, Backblaze, you install the client. It is not as customizable as some programs. If you're somebody that really likes to tinker and you want to get in there and like pick every file and folder that you want to back up and specifically include or exclude a lot of things and just manually build your backup, Backblaze probably is not your best option because it doesn't give you that many choices. There is an exclusion list, and so if there's things you definitely know you don't want going to the cloud, then those you can explicitly check or add to a list of I don't want these backed up to the cloud, and it will skip sending those up to the cloud. Other than that, you can check or uncheck a drive letter for any drive if you don't want a whole hard drive. Maybe you've got your local backup drive as one of your USB drives, and you just don't need that shoved up to the cloud. It's like already, the 2 terabytes of your photos or something you have on your computer, and you don't want to wait on 2 terabytes to upload. Or maybe you've got bandwidth caps and you can't afford to send 2 terabytes to the cloud because that's a ridiculous fee from your ISP. So you can exclude just entire drives basically on Backblaze, but by drive letter, just by checking a box in a list, or you can list things in a list of folders where you can pick any directory or subdirectory and exclude that stuff. It's $6 a month. It is unlimited, which is awesome. I literally have like 94 terabytes backed up to Backblaze, which is obscene for $6 a month on my main media server that stores like all my video footage and media and everything else on there. So it's super affordable, and I've been on there, I think, since 2014, I believe, maybe 2015. I can't remember. And they were $5 a month. They've only gone up to $6 a month in that amount of time, which super affordable. And I definitely recommend Backblaze if you're looking for a good simple cloud backup solution. It scans for file changes continuously, so usually every 15-20 minutes, something like that, after you've worked on a document of some kind, it's going to spit it up to the cloud automatically. And they've got Backblaze for Macs and for PCs. And as far as doing a restore, super easy. And that's one of the things. Sometimes there's a backup system that an IT person will set up that is really reliable, really robust, but incredibly complicated for the average user to try to get a file restored from. And so anytime you want to get a restore, you're held hostage having to call your IT company or an IT person in order to get a file back. And so when you use Backblaze, basically all you have to do to restore data is log into Backblaze's website. And when you log in there, you're going to see basically a link that you can click for each of your computers that you're backing up to Backblaze. And then any one of those that you click on, you're going to just see the exact folder structure that you have on your computer is going to be shown to you in the Backblaze control panel. And so all you really need to do is browse through to whatever folder or files that you're missing and click that and hit restore, and it's going to build a little zip file with all those things for you, and you can download it. I want to say the biggest zip file you can make is about 500 gigs. I think there's a max of 500 gigs. And they do have a downloader little program that makes it a lot easier to restore, so you're not going through a browser, because browsers notoriously can be difficult at trying to download large files. They can lose their connection and start over, which can be endlessly frustrating. And so with the Backblaze downloader client, it's optimized to open up multiple connections and download as fast as it can, and definitely makes it go a lot quicker when you're downloading those big zip files, if you're pushing the limits on that 500 gigs. If you need more than that, the other option that they have, if you can either just do multiple zip files and break up your restores in 500 gigabyte or less chunks. Other option is they have a hard drive available, and I don't remember what the fees are. You can go to backblaze.com and check it out. But they have fees on there that basically they will send you a hard drive that's a couple of terabytes. I forget what their biggest is. Maybe 8 terabytes now, maybe 6 terabytes. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But they will basically put whatever restore data you need all on that external hard drive and ship it to you. And then if you want to keep the drive, you've already paid a fee, and I don't remember if it's like $200 or something, or $250, but you've essentially paid for the drive to ship your stuff to you. And if you want to keep it, they just keep the fee, you keep the drive. If you don't, you can ship the drive back and they will refund the drive fee, and then you end up paying just I think a shipping fee and a smaller amount to get the data shipped back and forth. Just takes a little longer, like I said, to have it shipped to you, versus the situation where if you've got a local drive, you just plug in, or if it's already plugged in running a daily backup, you could restore all 500 gigs in probably 10 minutes, 20 minutes over USB 3. It's going to be super fast, so you just don't have to have that delay. If your data is going to keep you from working, then that's a good way to keep it going. Phil asks, let's see here, do you have any advice for securing flash drives in case one is lost? I don't know offhand of a software package that I recommend. I don't have any that I use for USB flash drives, but I do know that there are some USB flash drives that have encryption built into them. They'll either come with a program, and if you search, like go on Amazon or something and look for encrypted or secure USB drive, some of them will have a program that's like a Windows-based or a Mac-based program that when you plug in the USB drive for the first time, it's going to install that program. And then once you've set up your password with that program and it encrypts the drive, it's always got that copy of the program on the drive accessible, not encrypted. So any machine you plug it into, it's going to go ahead and install that software if you want, so you can access the drive encrypted. But that basically just comes built into the drive itself. I know I've seen some also that had like a biometric fingerprint reader, so you could put your finger on it to unlock a USB drive. There've been a couple of different ways I've seen it that people have done encrypted drives, and I'm sure there are some software packages that you can just buy to encrypt any drive and do that with. I'm happy to check it out. I just don't have any that I've used so far, so I don't have anything I would recommend right offhand and say, yeah, that one's a good one, just because I have no experience with any of them, honestly. I don't carry that much encrypted stuff around with me, so I've got a few clients that do, but mostly it's more lives on their computer, and maybe they back up, and if they do a backup, they can do an encrypted password protected backup depending on what software they use. So Backblaze, trying to think if I have anything else to say about Backblaze. Just a good program, good people. They're pretty awesome. They publish a newsletter. I don't remember if it's quarterly or what, but they essentially build these computers that are these storage pods. And I can't remember now what their latest version holds, 80 hard drives, I think, or something like that. And so they go buy just desktop drives. I mean, at times when there have been shortages, they've literally been like combing Best Buys apparently and just buying all the drives they can, Western Digitals or Seagates and stuff, so that they can fill these storage pods up. And they use just regular desktop drives to drive their entire massive storage setup. And basically, when they finish with these, as the drives die, they will go through and do these newsletter reports and show you breakdowns by model of different Seagate and Western Digital drives, which are the bulk of what they use, exactly what the failure points were on them, what the average failure time was, what the failure rate was. And so if you're looking for kind of a good overall review or guide to what hard drives are good or bad, because I like Seagate personally, but even Seagate has made some drives that are just abysmal and failure rates are through the roof. And then I've also seen Western Digital make great drives, and then make some that are just total pieces of crap. So it just really depends on the specific make and model. And so they're a really good resource for getting information on really checking out hard drives and seeing, what you're dealing with in terms of a good product or not as you're buying your storage and building out your storage system. Affiliate link in the description. I do have an affiliate link for Backblaze. I should have had that ready. I don't. I will have it next time, and I will post it, and I will add it to the comments. I don't have it handy at all. That's going to take me a minute to pull that one up, so I'm not going to do that at the moment. But yes, I do have an affiliate link for Backblaze. I do not have an affiliate link for anything else, but I should probably look into that if I'm going to be pitching their products. It would be good to know how much I'm helping them. I'm not going to tell you any products that I don't use myself or don't like, because I wouldn't want to have somebody sales pitch me on something they have no experience with. That's what I dislike about sales. It's just disingenuous, and I just don't care for it. So I've never been a salesperson. I know a lot of salespeople. My father is a salesperson, and he can sell practically anything to anybody. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've seen him buy things for far less money and flip them for a bunch of money after doing minor updates to them. I don't know how he does it. I don't have that skill. I end up going like, man, this thing's got issues. You're going to end up replacing this and this, and then I feel guilty, and then I'm talking myself into a discount. So I'm not a good salesperson. But affiliate links for things I believe in, I totally agree. I'm down with that. I will have those in the future. That would be helpful. Thank you for the recommendation, Sheridan. So yeah, backup programs. Backblaze is a good one if you're looking for cloud backups. If you're looking for local backups, you have a bunch of options. One of the things you can do is use Windows built-in backup. It's okay. It's free, so if you just want to spend nothing and do a backup and kind of get it working, it'll do the job. It's not my favorite. It has some quirks. If it runs out of space, it doesn't really do any maintenance on the drives or roll off any old backups, so you end up having to just manually delete stuff, or just buy an exorbitantly large drive, so you have to worry about it filling up for a long time. But you're still manually going to have to rotate stuff at some point, which I don't care for. I'm sure there's some way to automate it, but they didn't make it easy. It's not their first focus, is giving you backups in Windows. So other options, one of the things you can do is OneDrive is pretty cheap these days. I know I added a OneDrive 1 terabyte add-on to my Exchange email account or Office 365 email account for like $2 more a month. I have a terabyte. And they give you the ability to not only sync like Dropbox, where you can have your files all go there, so if you want to access them from anywhere, you can get to them. They also offer backup in there now, and so it'll automatically pick up your desktop, your documents, pictures. I think you can do videos too, and add other custom folders as well. And so basically, OneDrive is another option. If you don't have more than a terabyte, you want something easy. Maybe you're already an Office 365 subscriber, because a lot of people use their email at this point, which is another product I've used for a long time. I really like. Basically, you can add it on really cheap, and that's another way to back up stuff pretty easily. Both the Backblaze software and OneDrive have versioning, so if you worked on a document and a week later you worked on it and you saved over it and you're like, crumbs, I really wanted that back, the old version, you can go back in Backblaze and pick a previous date that was from another backup time period, get that document back. By default, they give you 30 days of cloud storage on Backblaze. You can upgrade that for, I want to say it's $1 or $2 extra a month. Maybe it's $7 a month. It's either $7 or $8 a month. If you do that instead of the $6 a month, you get 1 year of retention on all your previous versions. So if you're somebody who's worried maybe you're going to lose a file, and 6 months from now maybe you don't access those files very often, and you're like, oh my god, I really wish I had a copy of that, the year version gives you a lot more time, so that's nice. OneDrive, I do not know what their time limitation is on that one, to be honest, for versions. I would have to look that up. Probably should look it up, but I don't really use OneDrive for backup very often. I've got a few clients that do, that have just small amounts of data. Maybe they've got 30 or 40 gigabytes of, some family pictures here and there, and a few different things. So it can work for that just fine. Another one that I really like is called Cloudberry Backup. I don't know if they've changed their name. Let me look and see, because I know they got acquired by somebody a while back. They got picked up by, and I think they're MSP Backup. That's what they are now. So very sad babies tonight. I don't know what's going on down there with some sad babies. So Cloudberry Backup, great program also that I've used. It is a paid version. I like Cloudberry. It's affordable for servers. I've got a couple of clients that have servers on site, and so Cloudberry is one that gives you an affordable license for a server operating system. And so if you've got a small business and you need to back up stuff, MSP 360's backup is what it's called now since they got acquired. But it's a great product. It'll do file-based backup or disk images, either one, which is really nice. I like disk images in terms of restore because it's just so fast and everything goes back exactly like it was. So I typically will run a disk image of my C drive on machines so that if the machine crashes, super easy to get back up and running. And then file-based backup if I've got really large stuff like my media server, video server that stores, all the footage I shoot and other videos and stuff, music collection, all that kind of stuff. I'll do a file based on that for the other drives, but I will do an image based backup of the C drive. And then usually I'll throw the image based backup for the C drive into another storage place that goes to the cloud if it's not too big. That way, just in case, like I said, fail safe if everything burns to the ground, still got an image of the drive, and you can restore it back. And some programs like Acronis will let you do what they call bare metal restores. Acronis is another great program. They've kind of oversimplified the controls in some ways, but I guess that's good in terms of making it easy for people to back up and not miss stuff they want. But Acronis has restore basically to dissimilar hardware, what they call universal restore. And so it's nice if you have a computer that's a couple years old, maybe it dies, you have to buy a new computer, or maybe that computer gets stolen, you need to buy a whole new computer and get set up. And you don't want to have to reload everything from scratch, which if you've done just most standard image backups that can't restore to dissimilar hardware, then you're stuck. You can't really put it on another computer and get it to work a lot of times. Better with Windows 10 than previous operating systems, but may still have an issue. And so it's really nice in terms of you could buy something different hardware, different processor, AMD instead of Intel, AMD graphics card instead of NVIDIA. It could be totally different beast. And it's going to rip all the drivers out of it as the operating system is being restored, the image is being restored to the new disk. It's going to remove all of those drivers and make it just load straight in there so that you can load the new drivers for the new hardware and get up and running a lot quicker. All your programs are going to be there. Occasionally, some programs don't like it. I know Adobe programs, Office applications, they usually will deactivate on dissimilar hardware because they're tied in a unique way to the hardware that they're installed on when you license them. And so those things might have to be reactivated, might have to find your license keys for stuff, which can be a total pain in the butt, but don't have much of a choice. Basically, if you've got to get that stuff reinstalled and activated, you might need license keys. So good to keep those in a safe place. Excuse me, got some hiccups there going on. So Acronis, MSP 360 backup, Backblaze, Windows built-in backup. Those are 4 options. Another one that I've used is Macrium Reflect. That one, I believe, has a free option for personal use. I think it will do only a disk image-based backup where you clone the whole image on the free version. And then if you do the paid version, you can do a file-based backup. So if you really need file-based backup, Macrium Reflect free, not going to do it for you. But for most people, an image-based backup is great, especially if they don't have hordes of data. It's just a super easy way to get the whole computer in one fell swoop and make sure you've got all your stuff there. So yeah, obviously Google Drive, other things, I don't know, Dropbox, you have lots of places you could store your stuff in the cloud and use it as a backup. Just whatever works for you, maybe something that's within an ecosystem you're already in. If you're all in the Apple ecosystem, iCloud's your best bet. If you're in the Google ecosystem, obviously Google Drive. If you're in the Microsoft ecosystem, OneDrive might be your best bet. But you can mix and match all of those on any platform, really. You can use iCloud on a PC as well. So really just kind of personal preference and cost of the storage. Maybe one's more cost effective than another. And so that might be a way that you can make a decision as well. I'm going to have some more water for a second. Stand by. So I don't know what other questions people have. Let's see. What else have people brought up to me recently? So printing issues. I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago, there was a Microsoft update they did back on March 9th. I believe it was KB 50802. I think that's right. think it's KB500802. It was an update that was brought to people on March 9th that stopped printing from working for a lot of users. Basically, you go to print either a PDF or you go to print a Word doc or Excel doc, whatever, and the machine literally would just blue screen and reboot. Didn't have it happen to that many people, but I did have a couple of clients that it happened to. And so Microsoft gave you the ability to uninstall that update, fortunately, and that was really the only recourse that you had once it installed. If you're blue screening, the only fix that I could find was just to uninstall that particular KB update from the Windows updates. And once you did that, everything was fine. Some of them reinstalled. It was supposed to have been pulled from the Microsoft App Store so that it would not reinstall. That was not the case. That sucker reinstalled on a few machines. So had to manually uninstall again and just completely disable updates for 30 days. And that seemed to stop it for the moment. And then last week, I believe on Friday, there was finally an update published that fixed the printing issue. I do not remember the KB update on that one. But the real clincher, which is one of those things about Microsoft sometimes, is just frustrating. Microsoft, why do you do it? Why? So sometimes one of the things they do, they made the thing that broke the printing an automatic update. It just downloaded and stuck itself on your operating system. The fix, however, did not automatically update for a lot of people. And so that was one that you just had to manually go grab it from the patch website from Microsoft and pick the right version for your operating system and install. Ended up doing that, and it did actually fix the problem. So if you're having those printing issues, if you go on Google and look for Microsoft March 9th printing issues, printing blue screens, you're going to find links. I can put one in the comments here. I'll pull it up for you. I'm going to find it. Let's see. Microsoft blue screen printing fix. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Maybe there we go. Is that the one? March 16th, 4 days ago. There it is. I'm going to post this. Found something on Pocket Lint here. And I'm going to post it. Let's see. There it is, the out of band update. That's what they refer to it as. So here in the comments, just posted the link there so you guys can see. And yeah, basically you just got to go manually get that guy and install it, which is super lame. But if you're having the printing issue, it will take care of the printing issue. Another question I got asked about the spyware stuff was, if I turn off my computer at night, can they still get into it? Definitely not. I think she thought that was a dumb question. It's fine. I understand. There's a lot of stuff with technology these days with Wake on LAN and different things that people are just not sure. You probably don't have Wake on LAN on your home PC on. If you're an office worker that might jump on remotely or something, that's a pretty common thing that they will use for power savings. Shut the computer down, and then you can pop it open, and with any kind of network access, it's going to wake up the computer automatically when the network card senses access, so you can get in the machine. But yeah, that's not typically something people have set up at home. And no, if your machine is off, there should be no way anybody can get into your machine. Basically, you have to have power and have it turned on for them to get access to Windows. Another thing, is people would ask me, how do you know if they copied anything or took anything off your machine? There's not really a good way that I'm aware of to find that stuff, quite honestly. You can definitely figure out if somebody has ransomed you, because suddenly you're not able to open any of your files, and that'll be a pretty clear indicator. They changed the extensions to all of your files, so the icons aren't going to look right. That's just not a good situation when you see that. You're going to feel a certain nausea kick in, and it's just, yeah, it's not good. So you will know if they've encrypted your files or messed with something, but you're not necessarily going to be able to tell if they copied something or stole something. Yeah, I just don't think there's any way to track that. There may be some type of forensic software or something that people can run in the first place to track file copies and modifications and all that stuff, so you could see what was going on. But in a typical setup with Windows, you're not going to have that situation. I don't think Mac has that either, that I'm aware of, that you can see what's been copied or moved or any of that kind of stuff, really. So yeah, basically, other than pop-ups, or if your mouse starts just moving randomly when you're sitting there, and starts working on your computer like somebody's taken over, a ghost is at your computer, that's not a good sign either. That's definitely a sign something's going on if you didn't authorize remote access. Yeah, you can just either turn off the computer, or you could pull the network cable and unplug it from the wall or the computer, or disconnect the Wi-Fi. Once you've done that and severed the internet connection, there's not going to be any way for them to get into the computer anymore and do anything, just because you're completely isolated physically from the internet at that point. So there's no way for them to do anything else. Um, I have had one client that happened to, where he had remote desktop set up. It was using Microsoft's built-in remote desktop, which I like. It is the probably the smoothest operating remote desktop tool of any of them out there. Is the built-in Windows one, from a Windows machine to a Windows machine. It just works super easy, super fluid. If you've got 3 monitors at work and one where you are, then when you open it, it'll snap everything all onto the one monitor, so you're not hunting down windows and stuff. And so I like the Windows Remote Desktop for that reason. Downside to it is it has been hacked at some point. There was a security flaw. It's been patched now, but there was a security flaw that allowed some people to use Windows Remote Desktop and get in maliciously. And I had one client that he came to work one day and didn't know what had happened, but his bank account had been emptied and a bunch of orders had been ordered off of Amazon, and his PayPal had been used for some stuff. And basically what we figured out is that they had hacked into Windows Remote Desktop. One of those patches had not been installed, and so they hacked into his Windows Remote Desktop. And he basically had I don't know how they got the password. I'm guessing he leaked something and they used the hack to get in. And so basically, once they got into his machine, he had the password saved for PayPal and for Amazon and for his banking website. And so all the person had to do really was just open up the browser for each of those websites. And, if you hack into somebody's computer, you can pretty much guess that most people in the US are going to have an Amazon website link that they use, or an Amazon account rather. And so, try Amazon. They can also go look at your browsing history and see the banking accounts you went to. And if you've got your password and username saved on those, they can just jump onto the bank account that way. And so they had made payments that way and sent bill pays out, and used PayPal essentially to send payments and stuff, and then used Amazon to order stuff. But that's pretty rare. That was the only time I've seen that particular hack. But yeah, it is something I've seen. So anyway, we're coming up on the 8 o'clock mark here. It has been an hour. I hope you guys have enjoyed the live stream. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you come back next week with more questions. Not a lot of questions this week in the live stream, but I had plenty of questions people have asked me all week I could cover. So do I suggest keeping passwords on a physical piece of paper? I mean, if you can keep the paper secure, it's not a bad idea. Probably if you're going to keep them in a notebook or a piece of paper, I would stick them in a safe of some kind. If you've got a small safe or somewhere you can secure those passwords on that piece of paper, just so someone doesn't find your piece of paper and get all the passwords easily. It's definitely not hackable in terms of someone logging in from the internet and stealing your passwords if you've got them all written just on a piece of paper. But just physical security, basically making sure wherever you have it's locked and secured so people can't get to it. That would be all I'd recommend, but I don't have any problem with that. It's ironic, some of the electric grid stuff that supposedly the Russians and the Chinese have been trying to hack into. They say that a lot of the grid is so old and antiquated and is not set up basically for any type of internet access, and so there's no way to hack that stuff. So I guess sometimes old school, people that are still using checks and paper, they have like kind of a strange advantage in that way. I got a cat attacking the microphone over here. They have a strange advantage in that way of not being technical. Obviously, there's limitations that causes for you in doing some things maybe you want to do with modern technology, but it is definitely more hack proof if things are just not connected to the internet or if they're written in a physical place. So yeah, all right, people. I've got a cat that's about to disassemble my streaming setup right now. I think she's hungry. It is 8 o'clock. I'm hungry. It's not really 8 o'clock. It's 2 minutes to 8, but it's close enough. So I'm going to call it. And yeah, I think that's it for the live stream for this week. Thank you for joining me again. I'm Brandon. Channel is TechChomper. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Thursday nights live streaming at 7 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. So please feel free to join us any Thursday at 7 p.m. with any questions you have. You can send me messages in between the questions if you have them, and I can certainly do any research I need to answer your question. And I will see you guys again next Thursday at 7. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Bye.